Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is DJ Fuad, and if this is your first time of coming to my channel, do well to subscribe and click the notification bell so that you get any new updates that I do. I don't know, but I can tell you that this is one of the few channels where you can have almost everything. I do topics on economy, politics, religion, and what have you. A lot, entertainment in particular as well. So a lot goes on this channel. Just that I've not been consistent lately, but I'm writing more scripts, and very soon you're going to get a lot more videos. So let me tell you some of the upcoming videos that I'm working on, putting down the script. I'm working on writing cost accounting of coronavirus on the continent of Africa. That is, I want to look at the the the, the impact of coronavirus on Africans or African countries currently and futuristic. You understand? And I'm looking at this from the pessimistic point of view, if I'm allowed to say use that method. You understand? I'm looking at the positive angle, the positive side of coronavirus on the continent of Africa. So that is an amazing write-up that I'm doing. It's not easy putting up a positive write-up for a subject that seem that dark or gloomy like that. It's not easy, but I'm on course. I'll finish and shoot the video, and you have it very soon. Of course, in this coronavirus and it lockdown right now, entertainers around the world are doing what they can to make sure that they entertain their fans and the world as well. And Ghana is not left out. Our biggest superstar, Sarkodie, started a challenge between sound engineers, the men and women who produce a beat that you dance to and nod your head to. And it went down a couple of days ago in Ghana, and it was amazing. And I'm about to do analysis, critical analysis of who killed it and who is the master of his game, as long as beat making is concerned. So if you are new to this channel, you'll be like, if you look at the topic I'm about to discuss and what I'm talking about, that's how crazy my mind is. So today we're going to look at the 5G and coronavirus. Can we do some critical analysis here? For some time now, I've been hearing of the linkage of 5G network to the spread of coronavirus, especially the death rates. And as somebody who loves knowledge, anytime somebody tells me something, I don't say you are lying or not. I just tell myself that I will do my own further research about what I've heard. And it looks like now it's getting out of hand. So I concluded a bit of research that I've been doing, and I'm not here to give you scientific jargons and all of that. I just want us to do basic logic and critical thinking about as to whether it could be true that 5G is the cause of the numerous deaths of the coronavirus pandemic around the developed world. That is what we are going to do. And in doing that, I'll be showing you some videos for us to help us to put this 5G thing into a proper perspective rather than just following the conspiracy theories. Because yes, I am not saying that rubbish, any conspiracy theory that you hear, many of them are true, especially when it comes to health. Guinea pigs, using Africans for guinea pigs. Don't joke with any conspiracy theory around using Africans as guinea pigs. Don't joke with it. Any nation shouldn't do that. Shouldn't joke with that. So yes. So another thing that I want us to do this broadcast is that as an entertainer, as a professional DJ, I always want you to also know what to do in these days of coronavirus, lockdown, and what have you. So what can I do? One thing that I've learned from psychologists is that if you don't want to be consumed by the fear of this pandemic, as a matter of fact, some people will die not because of the virus itself, but the fear of it. So what can we do to alleviate or reduce the fear of this pandemic? We need to also sometimes listen to motivational music, motivational messages, and sometimes if you are that person whose fear level is so high, psychologists have advised that you don't have to even listen to too much news around this coronavirus. You understand? So that is that. So before I go further, I want us to listen to a song that was put together by superstars from Africa. That was in 2008, if I'm right. Or is it 2009 or 10? The best artist of the year from Ghana, best artist of the year from Nigeria, from Tanzania, from most part of Africa, were put together with R. Kelly of the USA to put together a song titled Hands Across the World. In this time of great grief, a lot of people are losing families, and some are also bedridden by this coronavirus. Businesses are down, and a whole lot going on. I want us to motivate ourselves even before we go into this coronavirus versus 5G network brouhaha. So let's listen to this song by R. Kelly and all the superstars from Africa, titled Hands Across the World. I'll be right back.
World stand up. Stretch out your hands. 1-8 represent the dream.
The sick and alone. I'm reaching out to the fortunate who can build them homes. I'm reaching out to the one who seems to have lost their way. And I'm calling on all the ones who can show them a brighter day. I believe if you believe we can achieve anything. So lift your voice and give it everything. Now let your heart sing. Africa to America, everywhere we want to spread some love. Our faith and a little hope. I believe that we can heal
project, my desire. The power of love you cannot deny. Let's go, people, it's time to go higher. Spread your wings, I believe you can fly. We can do anything if we believe. Let me see you dance if you got victory. If we come together, we can make history. So let me see you reach.
Yes, Hands Across the World. That's a beautiful music by all standard. If you look at the caliber of artists that were put together to do this music, you can see why you got that delivery right there. I remember when this song came, I was in my village and I wanted to watch the behind the scenes making of this song, and the downloading took me like 2 days. Yeah, because I was using 2G then. You see how me playing this song actually tie in with 5G and the conversation about to have. Yes, it cost me like 2 days to finish downloading the behind the scenes of making this particular song that you watched. You can watch it on YouTube. It's very amazing. You type behind the scene making of Hands Across the World. You understand? Okay, so now the noise about the fact that 5G internet has something to do with the death toll of the coronavirus pandemic is becoming the order of the day. So as of now, I am not debunking what the conspiracy theorists or conspiracy factors are saying, but I want us to do some little critical analysis and see if this theory will make sense or will have something to do with the coronavirus spread and, for that matter, the death toll that seems to getting higher with some developed countries. So this evening I posted on Facebook that the 5G brouhaha and 5G and coronavirus brouhaha, is it scientific or socio-economic politics, global socio-economic politics? And let me show my bias here. I think it is more than, it is not what they are saying that it is what causes the coronavirus or causes the death, but rather it is global socio-economic war happening between China and the America. But don't take my word for it. Let's do the analysis. Yes, of course, a lot of people who are saying that the coronavirus is caused, or the death is caused by 5G network, are saying that 5G actually started from Wuhan, the city from which the coronavirus started spreading from China. And people make reference that Italy has also signed up to 5G, UK have signed up to 5G, Spain, and that is why their death toll is going higher. If we go by the premises that, or the logic that 5G started in Wuhan or in China, I'm saying China, and it's in Italy, it's in UK, it's in Spain, and that's why they are dying, it makes about 70% sense logically. But let's look at it this way. China is the first country or continent that has been able to roll out their 5G network service. But their death toll was so low, infection was so low. Of course, there's another conspiracy theory going around that China is the one that created this disease and know the antidote. Well, I will not begrudge anyone on that, but let's take it to the 5G versus coronavirus. Are we aware, or do we know that America as of now has not been able to roll out its 5G network fully? As of 2009, President Donald Trump was announcing how they want America to be fast in rolling out 5G. So when it comes to 5G deployment, China has deployed a lot of 5G. UK has done that. I don't know the extent in Italy and that of Spain. But when it comes to America, America has not gone any further with 5G. So my question is, why is America now leading the death toll or coronavirus cases? Let's ask ourselves this question. Because 5G is the 5G that is spreading around the world right now is owned by a Chinese company called Huawei. And Donald Trump has warned all American companies not to buy any Huawei products, including their 5G. So, tell me, why are Americans also dying? Are you aware that one of America's top mobile phone companies, Apple, which manufactures iPhone, does not have a 5G phone as we speak? That's how I do my program. I like to slow down, and I'm just putting the question out there. Are you aware that one of America's top mobile phone company, iPhone, Apple, which manufactures iPhone, does not have a 5G iPhone as we speak? Are you aware? And if you are aware, have you asked yourself why iPhone or Apple of all companies, phone companies, does not have a 5G enabled phone as we speak, in 2020 as we speak? Have you asked yourself that question? I guess not. Okay, then the answer is US does not have the 5G for its mobile phone companies to roll out their phones, latest phones that can use 5G network. The only means they could have started with 5G phones is getting it from Huawei. which is from China. And Donald Trump has blocked Huawei's 5G from entering America. And even just ordinary gadgets like this. This one by Vodafone is made by Huawei. This thing is strongly prohibited in the US. Companies that uses Huawei products, Huawei gadgets, are not going to get government contracts. And I'm not just saying it from my head or from my imagination. I'm going to give you videos to that effect. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that it's good we look into various things as and when they emerge in the world as Africans. But it's also important in this day of social media, alternative media, if you are not careful with some of these informations, you can lose your credibility. And as somebody that gives information to large number of people, your credibility is crucial. So I am going to give you a first video of President Donald Trump of the United States, and listen to what he's saying about how he wants America to finish fast and start using 5G. I know, like their military and some serious institutions by now have 5G, but the citizens, it's not rolled out on a large scale. So I believe that by the time we go through some of these videos and the analysis they are making, you'll realize that we Africans are here and we are engaging in a fight that is between two elephants. The fight is not about how 5G is causing coronavirus or causing people to die out of coronavirus. The fight is about which country should control 5G. And right now, America does not have the 5G as China does. Therefore, let's give it a bad name. That's why all of this conspiracy theory has been allowed to go on. But don't take my word for it. Let's listen to President Donald Trump on 5G.
I want to thank you all for being here to discuss a critical issue for our country's future. Winning the race to be the world's leading provider of 5G cellular communications networks. It's all about 5G now. We were 4G and everybody was saying we have to get 4G. And then they said, before that, we have to get 3G. And now we have to get 5G, and 5G is a big deal. And that's going to be there for a while. And I guess at some point we'll be talking to you about number 6. What do you think? Do you think that's true, Ajit? But right now we want to be the leader in this. We're the leader in almost everything else. And we're grateful to be joined by FCC Chairman Ajit Pai, who's been doing a fantastic job, and Deputy Secretary of Agriculture, Stephen Sensky. Thank you very much, Stephen. Appreciate it. And tell Sonny hello. He's doing a tremendous job, really tremendous. Secure 5G networks will absolutely be a vital link to America's prosperity and national security in the 21st century. 5G will be as much as 100 times faster than the current 4G cellular networks. It will transform the way our citizens work, learn, communicate, and travel. It will make American farms more productive, American manufacturing more competitive, and American health care better and more accessible. Basically, it covers almost everything when you get right down to it. Pretty amazing. And just as 4G networks paved the way for smartphones and all of the exciting breakthroughs, they made possible so many things. This will be more secure and resilient. 5G networks will also create astonishing and really thrilling new opportunities for our people, opportunities that we've never even thought we had a possibility of looking at. We cannot allow any other country to outcompete the United States in this powerful industry of the future. We are leading by so much in so many different industries of that type, and we just can't let that happen. The race to 5G is a race America must win, and it's a race, frankly, that our great companies are now involved in. We've given them the incentive they need. It's a race that we will win. In the United States, our approach is private sector driven and private sector led. The government doesn't have to spend lots of money. According to some estimates, the wireless industry plans to invest $275 billion in 5G networks, creating 3 million American jobs quickly, very quickly, and adding $500 billion to our economy. And as you probably heard, we had another alternative of doing it. That would be through government investment and leading through the government. We don't want to do that because it won't be nearly as good, nearly as fast, and especially in that business, I think that they'll be better doing the job than a lot of the folks that we know and love. To accelerate and incentivize these investments, my administration is focused on freeing up as much wireless spectrum as needed. We're going to free it up so they'll be able to get out there and get it done, and removing regulatory barriers to the build-out of networks. As Chairman Pai will discuss with you in a moment, the FCC is taking very bold action, probably bolder than they've ever taken before. It's a new frontier to make wireless spectrum available. By next year, the United States is on pace to have more 5G spectrum than any other country in the world. That's a big statement because, as you know, some people got ahead of us. We should have been doing this a long time ago, as advanced as it may be. In addition, last October, I directed the Department of Commerce to develop a national spectrum strategy to free up even more spectrum for economic activity, including 5G. The FCC has also taken action to streamline the permitting process for 5G infrastructure with state and local governments. That's a big deal. It takes too long to get permits. We're going to free that situation up, and we're going to put limits, and the local areas are going to listen to us very, very strongly. They have a big incentive to do that. They must now approve new physical infrastructure within 90 days instead of many years. It can sometimes take 3, 4, and 5 years. We're going to put a limit of 90 days. And there is now a cap on the unreasonable fees local governments often charge. They get greedy. They think, hey, we can really take advantage, and it ends up that everybody gets hurt. So we're putting a cap on those fees. These changes will contribute greatly to building high-speed networks across America, and it's going to happen very quickly, very, very quickly. By the end of this year, the United States will have 92 5G deployments in markets nationwide. The next nearest country, South Korea, will have 48. So we have 92 compared to 48, and we're going to accelerate that pace greatly. But we must not rest. The race is far from over. American companies must lead the world in cellular technology. 5G networks must be secure. They must be strong. They have to be guarded from the enemy. We do have enemies out there, and they will be. They must also cover every community, and they must be deployed as soon as possible.
Okay, so that was kind of a press conference of the President of the United States of America announcing how they are going to roll out 5G network in the US. And this was in 2019, April 12, 2019. You get it. So the issue for me is not about the health threats imposed by 5G network. No, it's about the economic warfare going on between China and America. Because if America sit down for a lot of countries to entertain China's 5G, which is Huawei's 5G, in terms of security, intelligence, and information, America is going to lose out. And these are the things that makes a country superpower. Once again, if America sit down for China or Huawei to even penetrate their markets, they are losing out, and they are afraid Huawei will also spy on them. And no power country is ready to do that. And already, China has beaten America to it with the way China handled their coronavirus cases, to the point that now every country has shut down except China, which is in business of exporting products that countries need to fight coronavirus. So already that amount of money is going to China and nobody else, and the US is not happy about that. You understand? So I did some, I wrote some point down. So I said China is getting the same pills they gave to the world in order to get to where they are. What is the pill I'm talking about? According to information or sources, China at a point in time realized that their citizens were having too much taste for foreign products and goods. So they decided that the older generation, we cannot force them to stop eating foreign goods, but we can start with the children. So it was a policy from the education institutions. Every teacher was to tell a child that any food that you eat that is not made, written on it, made in China, is poison. And those were the children whom by the time they were in their 30s had made China what it is. Because for every country to develop, one of the things that can help them is import substitution. Import substitution is when you start producing most of the things that you go for to outside countries to buy, and your citizens are ready to consume what you produce, then you have a higher chances of developing industrially, which will also grow your economy. You get it? And China used a lot of tactics. One of them is telling the school children that anything they eat that they've not written on it made in China is poison. And these children grew with this idea, and by the time these children were in their 20s and 30s, majority of Chinese population loved to consume made in China products. And after that, they started bringing it out. So for me, it wouldn't surprise me if this 5G thing is also from the US to discourage people around the world. Because if you don't know, 5G masts or antennas have been set on fire in the UK in some short period of time since this message started flying around. 5G towers or antennas or masts has been set on fire in the UK. So this 5G coronavirus thing is really going on. and people are taking it serious. But for me, I'm not debunking it, but I want us to look at something that I think it's more of a war between Huawei and US than 5G causing coronavirus death. You understand? This thing, I think this thing is going on for many of the countries that have signed on to Huawei's 5G to be discouraged. Okay, so if 5G kills people, so America also want to create their own 5G. Okay, so if 5G kill people, what you are saying is that America knows that 5G will kill their citizens, but they don't want to be killed by Chinese 5G. Is that what we're saying? And I'm not disputing the fact that this internet mast and what have you, antennas, cause radiation problems. That's why we use quantum pendant and all of that to repair radiation. Yes, the mobile phone, the modem, the laptop, and so many things, the light, they all emit radiation. So that's why the concept of using quantum pendant and other devices that repair radiation has been created. But I'm not sure if 5G is going to kill people like it is killing around this coronavirus time. America would want to create its own weapon, which is the 5G, to kill its citizens. I stand to be corrected. Yes, I know sometimes some country can be wicked, but I'm scratching my head how they're going to do that, because what I see happening, I'm going to show you another video. What I see happening is that America is just afraid of the speed at which China is going with Huawei. That is what I see. So at the time, right now, that America has not been able to roll out 5G, if this thing is going on, maybe it's good for America. But unfortunately, China has already started rolling out 5G for about 68 countries around the world already. So it's too late. So the question again, if it is not about Huawei and America on 5G, and you think it's about 5G causing coronavirus or killing people, why are Americans now leading the death toll and the coronavirus cases? Because America has not fully rolled out 5G. All our other countries. So let's look at another video where experts are talking about what is going on with a 5G fight between the United States of America and Huawei, which represents China.
Huawei is very dangerous.
Rarely does a country go to war with a private company.
We have met the enemy, and it is Huawei.
But America has done just that.
We're not going to do business with Huawei.
Huawei represents a national security risk.
But is this really about Huawei, or is it something bigger than that?
It's not can you trust Huawei, it's can you trust the Chinese government.
And what is the threat?
This is exactly what China wants. They want to divide Western alliances through bits and bytes, not bullets and bombs.
So what is this war really about, and why is Huawei in the middle of it? Founded in China in 1987, Huawei is now the world's largest maker of telecoms equipment, with revenues exceeding $103 billion. When you think about Huawei, you might think about the handset. That makes sense, since it sold 200 million of them in 2018 alone. But close to half of its revenue comes from selling network equipment.
And it's this infrastructure side of the company that worries governments much more than the sort of consumer handset side. With Ericsson and Nokia, it's one of the 3 biggest manufacturers of this equipment.
In fact, since 2014, it's outgrown all its competitors, reaching over 3 billion people. This is how networks function. Your phone sends a signal to a nearby tower using radio waves. Voice and data are passed over an internal network run by your phone company, which connects your handset to other phone users and the wider internet. In other words, these antennas connect us all. But now, there's a new kind of network.
The race to 5G is moving forward at full speed.
From TV ads to presidential tweets.
You've probably heard debates about the revolutionary 5G.
Although 5G is massively overhyped, it is coming, and Huawei is a leading force in this innovation.
It will be a sort of big change, maybe not quite so enormous as people like to tell you. The other thing that people like to say that 5G will enable is this idea of the Internet of Things. If you want things like self-driving cars that download detailed maps of where they're about to be, you need 5G to do that. If you want internet-connected door locks or CCTV cameras, maybe 5G is a way to connect those.
But though this computerized smart future opens up new possibilities, it comes with a health warning.
We're moving to a world where everything will be connected to the internet, but we haven't thought enough about security. That's the big fear about having a hostile power control your 5G network.
Because if entire networks are vulnerable, this opens the door to countries spying on one another.
5G networks must be secure, they must be strong. They have to be guarded from the enemy.
In a rare interview with The Economist, Ren Zhengfei, Huawei's founder and CEO, talked about the political storm surrounding his company.
美国基于什么政治目的我不理解。5G 这个问题呢，毕竟5G 只是一个技术商品，它只是一个工具。5G 政治化可能是一个错误。
As the argument rages over the security of Huawei's products, the effects can be seen in some unexpected places.
The biggest issue, I think, with all of this political turmoil surrounding the Huawei name is uncertainty.
Joe Fresnel runs Eastern Oregon Telecom, a small network serving the people of this rural area.
In rural, remote areas, it's hard to connect with people. And so the internet becomes this really important way to connect with community.
Herb, how you doing?
How are you, Joe?
The problem is that the network here relies on Huawei technology.
So you're using the internet from Eastern Oregon Telecom to be able to run, monitor, control all of these pivot irrigation systems.
I have no idea how we'll do without it.
The Huawei equipment was 30 to 40% less than everything else on the market, and it's more capable and more reliable. This economic boom that's out here, all of this effective agriculture that's going on out here would not be effective or even possible without internet connectivity.
It's a similar story around the world. Mobile phone users in developing countries have benefited from Huawei's attractive deals. But how is Huawei undercutting its competitors?
Huawei can offer cheaper prices because they are heavily subsidized by the Chinese government.
These are allegations that are strenuously denied by Huawei.
华为就是华为，中国就是中国，对吧？把华为就代表了中国，我还没有这么大的这个光荣。
Whether or how Huawei is connected to and subsidized by the Chinese government is unclear. But what is clear is this.
China is the kind of country where if the party says jump, all you can say is, well, how high?
Loyalty to the state is actually enshrined in China's intelligence law. Article 7, a 2017 edition, states that any organisation or citizen shall support, assist and cooperate with the state intelligence work. Critics say this law means that when you buy Huawei equipment, you may be exposing yourself to surveillance by the Chinese intelligence services, and this makes governments very uncomfortable.
Huawei is just a tool of the Chinese government. China is a difficult country for any company to be independent in. And when you look at that, the new intelligence law, you've got to have some concerns.
This has made a lot of people worry that Huawei, given its close relationship to the Communist Party and given the Communist Party's willingness to wield hard power, you could then end up in a situation where they can use that effectively as a weapon.
The fear is that Huawei will leave backdoor vulnerabilities in its networks that would provide China with an opportunity to spy on its competitors and enemies. To counter this mistrust, Huawei has shared its code and allowed the likes of Britain's National Cybersecurity Centre to scan it for backdoors.
We do have researchers that have been going through it with a fine-tooth comb looking for exactly these. They've never found anything like that.
Even so, the Trump administration remains suspicious.
Huawei is something that's very dangerous.
President Trump's escalating trade war with China.
So if there's no solid security threat, why is America making an enemy out of Huawei?
We cannot allow any other country to outcompete the United States in this powerful industry of the future.
At least part of this is motivated by a desire to slow China's rise and to keep a world in which America is the dominant power for as long as possible.
It seems as though the concern over Huawei is not only about America's security, but also its insecurity. And it's causing collateral damage at home as well as abroad. In May 2019, the Trump administration issued an executive order which not only forbade American companies from supplying Huawei with components, but restricted domestic networks from using its equipment. It's a move that feels like an own goal to Americans like Joe Fresnel.
Worst case scenario is there's an all-out ban. That means that 3 to 6 communities that are struggling, desperate for broadband connectivity, missing out on economic development opportunities, having young people flee their community and never come back, it would be a huge hit.
And there's another uncomfortable truth that America can't ignore. Smartphone technology relies on a truly global supply chain. Take an average smartphone. Some contain components from more than 200 international suppliers. Screens might be made by Samsung in South Korea. The camera lens engineered in Germany. The chip could be designed by a California-based company and manufactured in Taiwan. The battery could come from Japan, and the audio chip from China. But increasingly, hostility and lack of trust threaten to fracture these supply chains.
This goes beyond Huawei. We are entering a period of increased vulnerability when it comes to cybersecurity and the internet.
America's concerns about Huawei are understandable, but the risks can be managed by limiting the use of Huawei equipment to less sensitive parts of 5G networks. That way, it is possible to benefit from the low cost of Huawei's equipment while minimizing security concerns.
You know, when we start talking about withdrawing and only doing business with companies that are really close allies or companies that are in the United States, that damages the global economy and the way that we function as a world.
Billions of people around the world have benefited from increased connectivity, made possible by global standards and global supply chains. But if political mistrust divides the telecoms industry into rival camps, everybody stands to lose.
If you want to learn more about Huawei, you can click on the link opposite where you'll find further Economist coverage and some research, data and studies used to make this film. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more films like this, then hit the subscribe button in the link below.
So that was another amazing video doing the analysis, deep analysis about how the war between the US and China, and for that matter Huawei, on 5G is not a child's play. You understand? And I see my African brothers taking this war to a different level with their linkage to coronavirus. So if it is 5G, then I'm asking myself, why is the coronavirus working in Ghana where our 4G is actually 3G and our 3G is actually 2G? How can you explain that? If 5G has something to do with coronavirus and the death, why are African countries registering a number of cases and death. Even though the whole cases on the continent put together can never be compared to the case rate in a day in one of the most hit countries. So I think that the war is more about who should own a higher percentage worldwide of the 5G network spectrum. And it looks like Huawei and China has gone ahead of the US. So therefore, until there is more convincing, logically, scientific linkage, I think that I would limit the whole thing to the trade war, the trade politics, economic politics going on between China and the US, rather than just saying that it started in Wuhan and the disease is high in other countries where they've rolled out 5G. So there's this news here that says that Switzerland has stopped its 5G rollout. This is Switzerland, one of the world's leaders in the rollout of 5G mobile technology, has placed an indefinite moratorium on the use of its new network because of health concerns. Listen, the first paragraph talks about health concerns. Now listen, the move comes as countries elsewhere around Europe race to upgrade their network to 5G standards amid a furious rearguard diplomatic campaign by the US to stop them using Chinese technology provided by Huawei. Washington says the company, which is fundamental to most European network upgrade plans, present a grave security risk. Switzerland is relatively advanced in Europe in developing 5G. The wealthy Alpine country has built more than 2,000 antennas to upgrade its network in the last year alone, and its telecoms providers have been promising their customers imminent 5G coverage for most of the past year. However, a letter sent by the Swiss government agency BAFU to the country's controller cantonal government at the end of January has now in effect called time on the use of all new 5G towers. Officials who have seen the letter told the Financial Times. So you see, the first paragraph talks about mentioned health concerns, but what follows tells you that America is trying its best, what it can do to warn its European allies not to go for the 5G provided by Huawei, which is a Chinese company. Which means that if America has been able to roll out their own 5G, they will come to other European countries to help them roll out theirs. So for me, it's a battle and it's a war ground between America and China, American telecommunication companies and Huawei, communist versus liberal democratic capitalism. That is what the war is all about. And far from 5G causing coronavirus or causing the death, because some of the things doesn't add up. America as of now doesn't have 5G even up to the level of UK. but they are now surpassing UK in terms of cases recorded and death. America does not have the same thing as Italy, but they've passed Italy in terms of case recorded and death. On that note, and many other African countries does not have 5G, but the disease is spreading. As a matter of fact, the reason why the disease has not spread much in Africa is that the disease actually were imported, and the people that can fly. So let me do this analysis before I end the video. The people that can fly out of Africa and into Africa are not people who live in the slums of Africa where the people are overpopulated. You know, the countries where the disease, coronavirus, is killing more people, it's killing people at the most densely populated areas. You understand? That is what is happening. In Africa, the people that can travel by plane and all of that, like overseas, don't live in most densely populated. In Africa, our densely populated areas are slums. So somebody that can afford an air ticket, plane ticket, will not live in the slums. So even those who came back to Ghana, came back to Nigeria, they are living in the estates, where if I traveled and came back to Lagos, Lagos is one of the densely populated, but Lagos also have their affluent areas. Lagos have what we call the Trasacos and the East Lagos in Ghana, the Beverly Hills in the US. Lagos also have that. And I know majority of the people that can board planes don't live in the slums of Lagos. Recently, one of their biologists was telling BBC that what they are doing is that they are making sure the disease does not spread into the slums, or if you get there, it's a lost battle. The same thing applies to Ghana and most of the African countries. Look at South Africa. South Africa is recording that number because majority of the people that can go and come live in their cities, where those places are not slums necessarily, but it's heavily populated. You understand? So all of these factors does not make the 5G, no matter how scientific terms they try to use to do the equation, it does not tally. And I think that it is a strategy for countries that have installed Huawei or Chinese 5G networks to think twice. You heard from the video, one of the video, where the US government has warned US telecommunication companies not to use Huawei devices, or else they are not going to get government contract. 2, they will be seen to be posing security threat to the US government and the country and the citizens at large. So, my brothers and sisters, let's really think deep about this. But before I go, I want to say that Africa have the opportunity to do the undoable for its citizens in this time of coronavirus pandemic. If it is not now, then we should forget it. As somebody's show's name goes, say Epahua Daben. So, thank you very much for watching the show, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and also to click the notification button so that you get all the updates. I told you I'm writing a script for the positive impact of coronavirus on the African continent. Yes, it's hard to write such documentary, but that's what I'm working on. And also, all Africans should stand up and warn their government not to go for any vaccine to be tested on the continent. Me, even if they test it in the US or France and finish with the testing and bring it to Ghana, I'm not going for it. Go and read about the Tuskegee experiment, human experiment. So thank you very much once again. My name is Kwabena Benitebe. You can call me DJ Fuad. It's been an amazing encounter sharing this information with you here. Please, after watching, do share. Let others also get to watch the 5G and coronavirus brouhaha and the critical analysis thereof. Thank you.